In the simplest terms, a trade war is like a schoolyard brawl, but instead of fists, countries use tariffs, quotas, and other trade barriers. These measures are designed to protect domestic industries by making foreign goods more expensive. However, they often lead to retaliation, escalating tensions, and harming economies on all sides. History provides stark warnings about the dangers of trade wars. The Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, for example, is widely blamed for exacerbating the Great Depression. This act raised tariffs on over 20,000 imported goods, sparking retaliatory measures from other countries and contributing to a global economic meltdown. The interconnectedness of the global economy means that a trade war today would have far-reaching consequences. Supply chains already strained by recent disruptions could be severely disrupted. Consumers would face higher prices for everyday goods, economic growth could stall, and geopolitical instability could rise. While the prospect of a trade war is concerning, it's important to remember that trade disputes are not uncommon. Negotiations, compromises, and international cooperation have historically helped to prevent these disputes from escalating into full-blown trade wars. The global trade landscape is currently fraught with tension, driven by a confluence of factors. These factors are not only economic but also deeply political, affecting nations and their relationships on multiple levels. One major driver is the intensifying rivalry between the United States and China. This rivalry has escalated beyond mere economic competition, spilling over into technology, security, and geopolitical influence. Both economic superpowers have engaged in tit-for-tat tariff increases on each other's goods, impacting billions of dollars worth of trade. These tariffs have not only affected businesses, but also consumers, leading to higher prices and reduced availability of goods. The ongoing conflict in Ukraine and subsequent sanctions imposed on Russia by Western nations have further disrupted global trade. The geopolitical instability has created uncertainty in markets, affecting investment and economic planning. Russia is a major exporter of energy and raw materials, and the sanctions have led to price spikes and supply chain disruptions across various sectors. Industries reliant on these resources have had to scramble to find alternative suppliers, often at higher costs. The COVID-19 pandemic exposed the fragility of global supply chains, leading to shortages of critical goods and highlighting the risks of over-reliance on single suppliers. The pandemic has forced companies to rethink their supply chain strategies, emphasizing the need for diversification and resilience. This has fueled a trend toward economic protectionism, with countries seeking to reduce their dependence on foreign goods and secure their own supply chains. Governments are now more focused on promoting local manufacturing and self-sufficiency. The rise of economic nationalism and protectionist sentiment in many countries has also contributed to global trade tensions. Political leaders are increasingly advocating for policies that prioritize national interests over global cooperation. Governments are increasingly under pressure to protect domestic jobs and industries, even if it means erecting barriers to trade. This protectionist approach can lead to trade wars, further straining international relations. This inward-looking approach threatens to undermine the rules-based trading system that has underpinned global economic growth for decades. The future of global trade depends on finding a balance between national interests and international cooperation, ensuring that the benefits of trade are shared more equitably. The United States, as the world's largest economy, remains a central player in global trade. Its influence extends across various sectors, from technology to agriculture, making it a pivotal force in shaping international trade dynamics. Its trade policies, particularly those concerning China, have significant ripple effects throughout the global economy. The ongoing trade negotiations and agreements between these two giants are closely watched by other nations, as they can set precedents for future trade deals. The Biden administration has maintained many of the tariffs imposed by the previous administration, while seeking to address unfair trade practices through dialogue and cooperation. This approach aims to balance protecting domestic industries with fostering international trade relationships. China, the world's second-largest economy, has emerged as a major trading power in recent decades. Its rapid industrialization and vast manufacturing capabilities have positioned it as a key supplier of goods worldwide. Its export-oriented growth model has fueled its economic rise but has also led to trade tensions with the United States and other countries. These tensions often revolve around issues such as intellectual property rights, market access, and trade imbalances. China is seeking to rebalance its economy towards domestic consumption, while also expanding its influence in global trade through initiatives like the Belt and Road Initiative. This ambitious project aims to enhance trade routes and infrastructure across Asia, Europe, and Africa, further solidifying China's role in global commerce. The European Union, a major trading bloc, plays a crucial role in shaping global trade rules and norms. With its collective economic power, the EU negotiates trade agreements that impact not only its member states, but also its trading partners worldwide. The EU has been actively involved in efforts to reform the World Trade Organization and strengthen the multilateral trading system. These reforms aim to make global trade more fair and predictable, benefiting both developed and developing nations. However, the EU also faces its own internal trade challenges, including Brexit and ongoing disputes over trade policy among member states. These issues require careful negotiation and compromise to maintain the integrity and effectiveness of the EU's trade policies. Other key players in the global trade arena include Japan, South Korea, India, and Brazil. Each of these countries brings unique strengths and challenges to the table, contributing to the complexity and dynamism of global trade. These countries are all major exporters and importers, and their policies and actions have a significant impact on global trade flows. Their economic strategies, trade agreements, and domestic policies can influence global supply chains and market trends. They are also active participants in regional trade agreements and multilateral trade negotiations. By engaging in these agreements, they seek to enhance their economic growth, secure market access, and foster international cooperation. The high stakes of a trade war potential consequences. The ramifications of a trade war extend far beyond mere economic figures and statistics. A full-blown global trade war would have severe consequences for the global economy. The interconnected nature of modern economies means that a disruption in one area can have a ripple effect across the globe. One of the most immediate impacts would be a sharp increase in the prices of goods and services. Consumers would feel the pinch as everyday items become more expensive, affecting their purchasing power and overall quality of life. Tariffs and other trade barriers would make imported goods more expensive, leading to higher costs for businesses and consumers alike. Companies would struggle to maintain profit margins, potentially passing on the increased costs to consumers. Global supply chains, already strained by the pandemic and geopolitical tensions, would face further disruptions. The intricate web of suppliers and manufacturers would be thrown into disarray, causing delays and inefficiencies. Businesses that rely on components or raw materials from multiple countries would face delays, shortages, and increased costs. This could lead to a cascading effect, where one delay causes multiple other delays down the line. This could lead to production slowdowns or even halts, impacting economic growth and employment. Workers may find themselves out of jobs, and businesses may be forced to close their doors. The uncertainty and volatility created by a trade war would dampen business investment and consumer spending. Investors would be wary of putting money into new ventures, and consumers would tighten their belts, leading to a slowdown in economic activity. Businesses would be hesitant to invest in new projects, and consumers would cut back on discretionary spending, further slowing economic growth. The lack of investment and spending would create a vicious cycle, making economic recovery even more difficult. A trade war could also lead to geopolitical instability. The economic tensions could spill over into political and military arenas, creating a more volatile and unpredictable world. Countries might resort to protectionist measures not just for economic reasons, but also as a form of retaliation or to exert political pressure. These measures could include tariffs, quotas, and even embargoes, further straining international relations. This could escalate tensions between countries, undermining international cooperation and increasing the risk of conflict. The breakdown in diplomatic relations could make it more difficult to resolve other global issues, such as climate change and security threats. Averting disaster pathways to trade peace. Despite the current tensions, there are still pathways to avert a full-blown global trade war and foster a more cooperative and stable trading system. One crucial step is to strengthen the rules-based multilateral trading system embodied in the World Trade Organization, or WTO. Reforming the WTO to make it more effective in addressing current trade challenges, such as digital trade and climate change, is essential. This includes updating its dispute settlement mechanism, enhancing transparency and accountability, and ensuring a level playing field for all members. Dialogue and diplomacy are crucial to resolving trade disputes and preventing them from escalating. Open and frank discussions between countries can help to address concerns, find common ground, and build trust. Multilateral forums such as the G20 and the WTO provide platforms for such dialogue. Countries should also exercise restraint in resorting to protectionist measures. Unilateral actions such as imposing tariffs without consultation are likely to provoke retaliation and escalate tensions. Instead, countries should prioritize cooperation and seek to resolve trade disputes through dialogue and negotiation. The future of global trade cooperation or conflict. The future of global trade hangs in the balance. The path we choose, one of cooperation or conflict, will have profound implications for the global economy and geopolitical stability. A descent into protectionism and trade wars would be disastrous, leading to economic hardship and increased global tensions. Conversely, a renewed commitment to international cooperation, strengthened multilateral institutions, and a rules-based trading system offers the best hope for a more prosperous and stable future. This requires countries to recognize their shared interests, prioritize dialogue over confrontation, and work together to address the challenges facing the global trading system. The choice is ours. We can choose the path of conflict and division, leading to a future of economic uncertainty and geopolitical instability. Or we can choose the path of cooperation and collaboration, working together to build a more prosperous and peaceful world for all. The stakes are high, and the time for action is now.